Hey there, greetings everybody. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, and I'm joined today with two of the co-producers of the Soul Citizens for a new program that we're starting called The Producers. The producers are here to do producing, and we're going to produce hopefully some productive conversations from a producer standpoint. I'm here today with Captain Serious Fun and Fast Card. How you guys doing?
It's a blessing to be here. How's it going?
Good.
I don't know if I'm going to be very, that word that you use, that probably doesn't describe me, but yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah, you'll produce something. You'll produce a couple of good jokes, if nothing else. So, all right. Listen, for those of you who know about this, we announced that we're going to be doing these new shows that are going to be sometime during the beginning of each month, where we will come together and talk about subjects that we think are relative to the community, the Star Citizen community, and it might be some other topics too. But we hope that we'd be able to give you some insight on us. Why we do what we do here at Soul Citizens, and hopefully you'll enjoy these conversations. So we're going to kind of just jump right into this. The subject that I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit was this idea of about our community, right? About the Star Citizen community. And I wanted to open up by showing you guys a trailer from a documentary that came out several years ago. Let me just change over to that real quick so you can kind of get an idea of it. It was called The People versus George Lucas. Captain Serious Fun, were you familiar with this documentary at all? Had you ever seen it?
Yeah, I have seen it. I did see it I actually saw it after you recommended it.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
yeah. So I
wow.
have seen it.
The power of my words. Okay. I'm glad you got a chance to see it. FC, had you heard of it or seen it? The power.
I've heard of it, and I heard of it when it first came out. I never took the opportunity to watch it because it's like I can kind of guess where it's going, but I may give it a watch after this video sometime.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. When I saw this, I was kind of thrown by it because I was like, The People versus George Lucas. What's going on with that? But then I started thinking about, in retrospect, there was a period of time when Star Wars fans were kind of throwing a little shade in the direction of George Lucas. And this documentary kind of highlights that. So we're going to show you guys a trailer just real quick. It's only a few minutes long. I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes long. And then we're going to kind of come back and talk about it a little bit. So let me go ahead and run this for you guys.
I owe George a lot. Not in a legal sense.
George appeals to the child in everybody.
That guy unlocked a generation's imagination.
I don't really get that, man.
I imagine George in a crystal castle drinking margaritas, lying on a bed made of people.
A lot of people view George Lucas as the Antichrist.
George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood.
جورج لوكاس هو شيطان صغير جاء في ثوب ملك.
He's like the evil genius of marketing.
Return of the Jedi was the beginning of merchandising, and then the whole thing became super commercial from then onwards.
He's just throwing stuff out and we're going, more, come on George, more. I'm a bit disappointed.
Episode 1 just stinks. Remember Jar Jar Binks.
I mean, how can he not feel bad to have people who love you and worship you as a god like turn against you as if you're some sort of fallen angel?
You know, has he fulfilled his destiny or has he destroyed his legacy?
I think when you get specialists who are absolute devotees, you're wide open to criticism.
Le fait de haïr autant les nouveaux films est une preuve très grande de l'amour qu'on leur porte.
George has said many times to me and to many other people that Star Wars was a bit of a curse.
He had a pile of scripts that he would show me, he would never let me read them. And he would say, these are the movies I'm going to make. None of those movies have been made.
There's a lot of pressure on George Lucas to make these because they're business ventures.
Star Wars is my story, just like my house is, my house. So if I want to paint my house green, even if everyone else thinks it should be red, guess what? I'm going to paint it Jar Jar.
People hate Jar Jar Binks. They hate him now. People are going to be looking at these films in 50 years, in 100 years. They're going to hate him too.
When we're in retirement homes arguing about things, we'll be having a conversation about what went wrong with The Phantom Menace.
If he wants to fix something, go back and redo Howard the Duck.
If I saw George Lucas, I'd give him a big hug and say thank you. I hate even saying things like I just said because it sounds like I'm being mean to Lucas, and I love him.
Cut the man some slack. His people, man. That's George. That's George.
I don't think he's raped anyone's childhood, frankly. That's a little over dramatic, isn't it?
Lucas, sir. We, the fans, the true fans of your franchise, salute you.
So, I wanted to show you guys that because I've done this before when we've talked on our Saturday show about parallels that I've seen with the production of Star Wars, George Lucas, and also Chris Roberts. But I want to focus in on this a little bit. As you guys know, I grew up on the original Star Wars franchise, right? Episodes 4, 5, and 6. I think you guys did too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you guys when you heard that there was going to be a 1, 2, and 3, or at least a 1, right? Phantom Menace was going to come out 20 years later. Lucas is going to do it again. FC, let me start with you. Were you excited? Were you curious about it? Were you like, what were your feelings about when you heard he was going to make this Phantom Menace film?
Well, it came out right after the special edition came out, so I thought that was good marketing on their end. But they had changed the special edition to make it more up to date, more true to the vision. So I thought, okay, the 1, 2, and 3. I was more excited, hopeful. Once again, they managed to finish the original the prequel trilogy, I was actually more excited for 7, 8, 9 to come after that because I was looking forward to the continuation of the story more so than the prequel story. But I was looking forward to both.
Okay. Captain Serious, what about you when you heard about Phantom Menace? Lucas, all these years goes by, we don't hear from him. He's been doing stuff, but he's going to return back to the Star Wars franchise. What were your feelings?
Yeah, I like Fast Cart, you became aware of it first through the lens of the special editions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about them was I had immediately heard that they were controversial, right? But once I heard that they hadn't changed anything fundamental, I chose not to watch those, right? Because I didn't need anything to subvert what people were talking about there in the trailer was my childhood experience, right? I didn't need anything to subvert that. So because I had kept that pristine, I was super excited about episode 1. So excited that at the Shops at Sunset Place, South Miami, in 1999 with my wife, 7 months pregnant, I made her go with me to stand in line and go with me to the midnight show, right? That's how excited I was.
Now, did she want to go, or you literally said, we going to this? What was it?
She was indifferent and pregnant, so probably on a number line, she was probably at a -1, not at a positive. But
I hope you made up for that soon after, later on.
We've been married 25 years, and I'm still trying to make up.
Still paying for it on the 25th. And speaking of, this is the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace this weekend, right? So we're actually recording this during the May the 4th be with you in this return of the 5th day with you guys. So it's rather apropos that you would tell that story. Yeah, it was very interesting that the fans of Star Wars, one of the things about this documentary, and we won't tell you what it was all about, guys, we'll give you the basics, is the fact that the people began to feel that Star Wars was theirs, that it had become such a cultural phenomenon, and it had been embraced by the culture so much that to a certain degree, we had a certain level of ownership to it. And from the perspective of, if it wasn't for the fans, George couldn't do what he was going to do. The fund, the money, the merchandising, T-shirts, the supporting films, all these different things were going on. And so, as you mentioned, Cap, most of us were a little bit older, but there were people who literally grew up from childhood all the way through these franchises. And like my kids, they didn't come through episodes 4, 5, and 6. They came up during 1, 2, and 3. That was their Star Wars experience, which they embrace just as much as we embrace the older, 4, 5, and 6 episodes. It's very interesting, though, and you mentioned something about this Fast Card, about the remaking, the remastering, that George had always said that he didn't get to make the film he really wanted to do. And the big controversy that Captain mentioned was the fact that he went back and added and modified many of the scenes. He did some things to clean it up because there were some things in there technically that were kind of funky. But in the age of digital stepping in, he was able to go things and make things more pristine, look better, and then also add some things like the Jabba scene that was in the film. In the first one, we never get to see Jabba. In his original script, though, we were supposed to meet Jabba at some point. And he added that into the film in episode 4. So he wanted to do these things. And so there was this battle, right? It's his dream. It's his project. It's his vision. He wasn't satisfied with it. But then the fan base, who was dramatically impacted, embraced it, loved it, and said, leave it alone. Don't touch it, right? Leave it the way it is. Interesting place for him to be in, right? Interesting place for it to be in. Also interesting to see that nowadays, those episodes that people maybe didn't like so much when they first came out are also in some ways more welcomed and embraced by many people. Some people who didn't like Jar Jar at least tolerate Jar Jar now. Some people have grown to love Jar Jar now, right? So I want to shift the gear on this, guys, and see what this how does this connect to what our subject is, and that's this one: the backers versus Chris Roberts.
Right.
Because I see parallels. I see parallels as here's Chris Roberts, who had not been doing things for a while. He went off to do some other things after he had done Wing Commander, but he comes back later and says, hey, technology's there. I can make the game that I've always wanted to make, right? We see the fundraising. There has to be funding that has to come in to support this. Some people trashed on George Lucas because of the level of merchandising, right? He was this guy's just milking the merchandise, but that same money he was able to take and make the films that he wanted to make without having to rely on the studio Hollywood industry, right? And he could produce those films the way he wanted. Chris Roberts goes and does this backing thing, right? Going out here and crowdfunding, and now he's able to make the game that he wants to make, right? So let me stop there and give you guys some opportunity to talk about, are you seeing any parallels, any concerns in relation to this, based on this project that we're in?
I'll start. One of the things that I comes to mind is the idea of a unicorn. A unicorn auteur, once in a lifetime, haven't seen it before, won't really see it again. A unicorn project. And as a result, unicorn culture, unicorn fans, unique, right? For Star Wars, whether it was the space opera experience, whether it was the pushing of tech, right, the pushing of technology and all the actual film craft that was brought to the table, whether it was the philosophy and ideas, right? In the Western cinema sense, we had never seen that before, and we really won't see that way again, because everything is sort of an echo now in the West when they try to do it of Star Wars, right? And it produced a fandom that, like, to the point of the documentary and the trailer, felt a unique ownership and had a unique experience. Same thing is with Star Citizen, right? I make the argument in my own videos, right, that Star Citizen is a unique project in the history of gaming. It's doing something with tech heretofore unseen. It's funded in a non-publisher, unique crowdfunding model, the highest crowdfunded game of all time. And it's matched with the ambition of its creator, right? It's matched with the vision. And that unique project has produced a unique fandom with a unique relationship to the product, right? Now, what's interesting about George Lucas is that when you look at things like Star Wars, you'd imagine that would sort of be something that was handed down to the rest of his family to care for, like Tolkien handed down Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings IP, so that his family could caretake for it as it, manifests in other forms. He sold it away, right? And I thought that was instructive in that, what you heard in the trailer, that he has told people that it wasn't all a blessing, that some of this was a curse. And apparently it was enough of a curse to take $4 billion and go do other stuff. He didn't keep the property in the family. Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
Card, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. No, I was going to say that it's been stated that George Lucas made the prequel films 1, 2, and 3 for his kids. Chris Roberts is making making the game, Star Citizen and Squadron 42, the games, I should say, for himself. In the opening video, he said that I want to make a game to his vision. I'm paraphrasing. His magnum opus, per se.
Yeah.
But game journalists express concern that the players aren't liking the direction that the game is going. But, I don't know. Game journalists seem to ignore or forget or just straight up don't care that Chris Roberts said, no, he's making this game for himself. So I could see parallels between Chris Roberts and George Lucas that way. In the trailer, someone said, why did George Lucas just go back and remake Howard the Duck? Chris Roberts can go back and remake Wing Commander movie, So there's another parallel with that. I think some people would prefer him to do that than create or finish Star Citizen, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is an interesting parallel. Those are great points you mentioned, FC. The feeling of ownership, some people would use the word entitlement, is very interesting when you watch the Star Wars fans. And I think it's also something that we can kind of see happening even within the Star Citizen community. I think it's interesting because we don't know what the future is going to hold. But what I would do want to reflect is that 25 years later, many people have a different feeling about George's maneuver to do what he did. One of the things that I was told that George Lucas, when he saw episode 7, 8, and 9, was when he got through watching it, his comment to the folks at Disney was, where is the innovation? Right? Every film that he did, you think about it, was about him not only making another film, but it was about taking filmmaking to another level, not just in story, but on the technical. It was the whole enchilada, right? And what he was seeing was technologies that weren't advancing both story and movie making itself, right? And that takes time and effort to do. And I think that even with Star Citizen, the impression that we're given is that CIG is trying to do that. They're not just trying to produce another movie, right? Another game, but they are trying to, in parallel, together, advance both gaming technology, gameplay, as well as making a great story and everything else that goes along with it. And that can be a difficult thing. But I kind of saw these parallels that were in here. We're not going to go very much longer than this, but I did see these parallels. And I guess I'm wondering whether or not you guys think that 5 years down the line, 3 years from now, whenever, let's just say when 1.0 comes out, right? Or let's just say after Squadron has been out for a while, do you think that people will look back, just like how they look back now on the Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3? Do you think people will look back and say, hey, maybe it wasn't so bad after all? Maybe this guy knew what he was doing, What do you guys think?
That is tough to say because I'm in the middle of it right now, so it's hard for me to project in the future. What I will say is that I'm hoping that they're supposed to release the making of for Squadron 42 Star Citizen. So I'm interested in what people will say in reaction to that because I think those will open a lot of people's eyes as to what game development is like. Because we've been watching it for over a decade, some of us. And so I don't know how long they will make those making of videos. I'm hoping it'll be over 2 hours. I'm hoping it'll be more like 6 hours. But I'm hoping for something extensive. So I think I think when those come out, it'll be telling.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I look at it as, and I hope others can see this as an opportunity to enjoy both the journey and the destination, so that when we get to the destination, it's just another jumping off point, right? For the next phase in the journey. For some folks, they're like, they're looking at this in a very binary way, right? There's a beginning and there's an end, and that's it. But for me, this has been an opportunity to build out culture in that sociological sense, new daily ways of life. I do new things on this journey that I did not do before it existed, right? And as a result of that, I'm enjoying the journey, right? And so then when we get to 1.0, for me, that's another place to then pivot. And then now what's the journey look like? What's the next step? What's the experience going to be with other people? What's the culture going to be? How are we going to engage on that? There is a material difference between saying that you're in development and putting out a product for a retail price that you're saying is playable, right? And one of the things that is very different from Star Wars is that we are involved as this thing goes from everybody's ideas and trying to figure out what Chris's vision is down into the frame of actually delivering something.
Yeah.
Right? Where we may get an announcement on Star Wars and then we wait and then we wait and then the film arrives. Right?
Right.
And they're doing all of that right behind the scenes, but we're not in it. Right. So this gives us an additional dimension, an additional level that we don't get with the filmmaking process.
It gives an additional level of craziness too, by the way.
Well, I'll go back to the unicorn, right? The unicorn myth.
Right.
The unicorn myth is either the stuff in the horn either purifies stuff that's poisoned or poisons stuff that's purified, right?
Yeah.
And our communities can go either way on that.
Good point. Very good point to close on. I do want to mention one other thing. It was interesting that some people considered George Lucas an angel and some people thought he was the devil.
Right.
And we have the same thing with Chris Roberts. There are some people who think this guy he's doing the greatest thing ever. And other folks are like, this guy's just ripping you off. No, we've got that same
just
kind of
ask
thing.
George Lucas' wife. Just ask Chris Roberts' wife. They just George and Chris. That's all.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Well, listen, I do want to make a recommendation to you guys. We're going to wrap this up. Make a recommendation that you guys check out a documentary. If you have access to Disney Plus, there's a great documentary called Light and Magic. And it does the history of industrial light and magic, but it also talks about, and the reason why I'm saying this is you'll see some great parallels to Cloud Imperium Games. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. It's a really, really good, I think it's a 6-part documentary, very well done. Great insight from when this whole thing started to where ILM now is today, Industrial Light and Magic is today. By the way, we're going to be sending this video out to the community as well, but you guys to get the first solid week of enjoying this to yourselves. But hope you guys enjoyed it and hope you can look forward to more of these videos that we'll be producing by the producers of Soul Citizens. Special thanks to Captain Serious Fun and Fast Card for being here with me. Thanks, guys. Great insight. And as always, we're going to say to you guys, Cap, you kick us off.
Peace.
Love.
And soul. Take care, guys.